Welcome to Confessions of an SEO. This is Carolyn Holzman. Bottom line is this. These are my experiences in SEO as an SEO spanning the last 13 years and counting, as well as my SEO research and testing. So far, over 300 days deep into a research project that resulted in a new protocol to get new content indexed and seems to have aided in showing me what it looks like prior to one of these core updates that we just went through, what it looks like, before it actually hits. And by the way, very little about what you're going to hear about any of this is going to be validated by Google proper. You see, I don't think that they are driven to have yours or my business's best interest at heart. Just look at the facts. Last year, and this you can look up yourself, they hauled in it was $257 billion in revenue, and more than half of that from the paid ads divisions. Cha-ching! So, if you're an SEO, I get you. And when I say that, I mean I really, really get you. And if you're a business owner, guess what? Before I was magically turned into an SEO, I was a local business owner for decades. And there are days where I still feel the pain. Let's get started. Welcome to Confessions Season 2, Episode 25. This is week 2 of the summer portion of Confessions of an SEO. I am very fortunate to be able to work even remotely during the summer. I like getting out of the Texas heat and get up to the mountains where I hear people can open a window in July and not have their souls sucked from their body, compliments of the triple-digit heat. Now, the last month, I have been asking you, dear listener, for some new topics to chew on that could be turned into episodes over the summer. And I am delighted to report that one listener out there heard the call and sent me a boatload of possible topics. I'll share them with you today. Before we do get started, I need to let you know some sad news. Brace yourselves. For over a week, rendered indexing has been off in Google for new content. And I would say, even based on what I'm seeing, even simple content. But if you are JavaScript reliant on your website build, you will have a disadvantage in Google right now because that portion of your page is blank to Google. Now that's especially I'm only talking about new content. I'll have to go back through and just make sure that, refresh rendering, is that working as well? But anyway, I can tell you for sure that JavaScript rendering for new content is currently off. Now, that's a bit of a bummer, but if you want to stay informed, like when it comes back on, you might want to subscribe to the Crawl or No Crawl Report YouTube channel. And I'll put the link in the description, but it's basically one of those little bit.ly links, bit.ly/ and this is all one word, Crawl or No Crawl, and that'll take you over to the YouTube channel URL where you can subscribe. Every day or most every day I try and update on what's going on. All right, meanwhile, back at the ranch, here's my idea for this episode. I really, really want to share the latest results from the mobile first indexing test. That'll come first, I think. And then I'll give you a rundown of the topic ideas to give you an idea of what's ahead over the next 11 weeks. But you're not off the hook. You all still have to tell me some other ideas because I don't have 11 topics. All right. So for a little background, for those who haven't been listening for long, Google has said that for a while they use the mobile version of our sites when they start to score them for the purpose of ranking them and indexing and then ranking them. So it just happened that I wanted to test this and I had a perfect setup. Well, it was perfect in theory. It just needed a little teeny tiny bit of remodeling to totally separate out a set of mobile files for this particular site. And I wanted them to be completely separate from the desktop files. So I had them set up as a subfolder and had to basically turn it into a subdomain. Now, the desktop file has an instruction that if a mobile anything comes by, to show it in the mobile version of the site. So the hypothesis of the test is that if mobile first indexing is indeed in operation, then I could optimize the mobile files and maybe make them more relevant than the desktop files. And as a result of doing so, the desktop version of the site would jump in rankings. Easy peasy, right? So if you want to know more background details, you can listen to episode 23 and 24, where I go more into like nitty gritty stuff. But it's a super fun test, and I'm describing all of this based on I'm kind of working, focusing on a keyword phrase that is fairly competitive and does not contain the city name. So the desktop site started out in spot 51. And after the first week, it went to 32. And then last week, it was in the mid-20s. Now, mid-20s means it's toward the middle to top of page 3 in Google. Now, all of this was about 29 spots up from where it started. Now, if you're a business owner, you're kind of going like, ew, I don't like page 3. Cool your jets, all right? I don't need your negativity. So, anyway, so I'm thinking like, wow, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to, like, maybe next week have it on page 1. Then, so on the 21st of this week, I made some additional on-page modifications. And I sort of went to town on it. I mean, way past just adjusting metadata. I'm talking massive content modifications. And I was fully expecting that things would respond, and I'd be here telling you right now, we're on page 1. Well, that's not exactly what happened. It dropped 18 spots. And so I know you're like me thinking like, what the? Well, okay. Still, bottom line is we're still higher than when the test started. All right. So as a tester, you look at this and go, well, what else might have caused this? So whenever I get stumped, I go to server logs. I want to see, like, first off, let me clarify some of the basics. So it does appear that the new mobile Googlebot, the latest Chrome build, did indeed come in, and it went all over it, and it looked like it did a full render refresh crawl. I mean, I checked, I don't know all the scripts, but there were multiple pulls of, once the HTML was pulled, of all the scripts that are involved in this particular page, how it's all put together. So it is possible that all that happened is that I found the ceiling on just how far OnPage can take this particular page for this keyword. Now, this is usually where some, and they go by the name SEOs, they scream penalty, oh my God. Now, I prefer these days to listen for the quieter, non-hysterical SEO voices that usually have some data with them, because likely this was just everything that was working on this page and causing it to go up in comparison to other factors. Let's say like now it's so optimized, the expectation is, well, what else should be there in addition to the on page? And so maybe what's happening is that all the good stuff is not being calculated as high, as weighted as high, as it was before. So if it's not a penalty, maybe it is that there's not enough, and I'm going to use the word diversity, to let it count as much as it was before. And I'll talk about what I think it is. Now, I just described the SEO distinction the way a musician would describe the difference between C# and D flat. Like there's going to be people in the penalty camp. Well, enjoy yourselves. And then there's going to be people in the, I'll bet you start adding some backlinks, that might even out the scales a little bit. So again, I feel like if as a tester, if it's a penalty, well, it can't be a person. It would have to be an algorithm, right? Because it wouldn't have happened so quickly. But if there are not enough of the other things that are not considered on page, then I can test for that. And there's a future to that. So and I probably already let the cat out of the bag, but like, if you can imagine, what do you think this page doesn't have that all of the other competitors might have? Well, backlinks. Who builds backlinks to their mobile pages? Well, in this case, normally most people have a responsive website, and this is not that. Remember, I have completely separate files. So this mobile version of the page that I optimized, it doesn't have any backlinks. So on Wednesday, I pulled out my little credit card and I bought a link package, and that should come in sometime today. Now, I know I've also run a Quora report, and so I'm going to take the time between now and then to analyze it. And backlinks are going to slowly come in. It's not like you buy a bunch of backlinks and then boom, everything happens. So, and I also have one that I'm going to make myself and kind of make sure it gets crawled. So I think I'm going to focus on backlinks for a little bit. Well, the plot thickens, so stay tuned on next week's developments because I'm really excited about this little project. Now, I want to talk about some of the topics that were submitted. Now, this came in from a confession sponsor. His name is Kyle Sabra. And since he was Johnny on the spot, his efforts are going to deserve more than one mention on the podcast. So here are some of the suggested topics he provided, and it was great. They were in forms of questions. So the first one was, how do I price or charge for SEO? Or from the business owner's perspective, how much should I pay for SEO? Now, that one I like a lot. And isn't that the rub? As businesses, we can compare, let's say, shipping boxes. And we can look at we know what dimensions we need, and we can look and see what people charge for different quantities and their shipping costs. And, so we know what we need, we know what they have, and we decide which one works best for us. But SEO is different. And it is what makes business owners cranky and what drives an SEO insane. So I love this topic. I think it's a keeper. Now, the other one was, should I charge a monthly retainer, or should it be a pay per lead or a revenue share, rev share with the business for the agency? Or from the business owner's perspective, should I pay a retainer, or should I pay per lead or a percentage of the revenue? And, Kyle, this is such an interesting debate. I know I've considered such things in the past, and always, for different reasons when I did. So yes. There is so much meat on this bone. I'm really going to look forward to digging into that. And then, sorry, I've had a summer cold. So the last one that I'm really thinking I want to dive in, for the business owner, how do I know my SEO is working? And I think they mean the SEO efforts. I don't think they mean the actual SEO, but then now that I say that out loud, I think they mean both. There's not a day that goes by that I don't hear someone asking that question. And ultimately, this is the question they're asking. And most business owners, I think, no matter how hard they try, at some point, SEO performance starts to get evaluated like paid ads. So, yeah, I think we got to that this could be a continuing theme topic. Now, the last four, I think, are good. Let's say from the business owner's perspective, how do I choose an SEO? Should I go with a freelancer or an agency? I think those are very good things for a business owner to ask and to understand the difference. From the SEO perspective, how do I find and hire good virtual assistants? And I know Kyle was messing with me at the end because the last one was, answer the question, why can't I get anything indexed? Which takes us back to the JavaScript rendering being broken. It's fun. I love circular episodes. All right. Well, that's what's going to do it for today. Thank you for being a listener, and special thank you to the sponsors of Confessions that help support this work for themselves and others. Now, if you'd like to support this podcast and SEO research, you can go to, and this will be a short link, I'll also put it in the description, but it's that bit.ly link, bit.ly/ and then it's all one word, Confessions Sponsor. There's 2 S's in the middle. Confessions Sponsor. And you can choose which level works for you, and all your support is appreciated. If you can subscribe to Confessions wherever you're listening, know it's on Audible, Spotify, Amazon Alexa. It's pretty much everywhere podcasts are. And if you haven't settled on one source, you can just simply Google Confessions of an SEO. You cannot miss it. Let's make more business and success together as we make efforts as SEOs and SEO clients to understand each other and Google better. We're after the same thing. It's been my pleasure to be your host. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the SERPs.